I'm James Harrison, and this is how my family learned that their unauthorized summer camp was about to become the centerpiece of a $500 million luxury resort development. 3 months earlier, I stood in my Lake Geneva office, reviewing the final acquisition papers for the Morrison property. At 32, I'd built Harrison Development into one of the Midwest's premier luxury real estate companies, though my family still thought I was a mid-level project manager at some computer company. The acquisition would complete my collection of lakefront properties, the final piece needed for my vision of transforming the area into an exclusive resort destination. My phone buzzed. Mom's face appeared on the screen. "James, honey, how's work?" Her voice carried that familiar tone, the one that meant she wanted something. "Fine, Mom. Just finishing up some paperwork." "Good, good. Listen, Marcus has been under so much stress lately with the kids and Sarah's new job. They really need a vacation. But you know how things are with his business struggling." I knew where this was headed. Marcus, my 38-year-old brother, had been living off our parents' sympathy since his restaurant chain failed last year. "Mom, what are you asking?" "Well, you have that cute little lake house you never use. Maybe Marcus and his family could spend a few weeks there this summer. The kids would love it." The cute little lake house was actually a 50,000 square foot luxury property I'd purchased as the first piece of my development plan. But they didn't know that. "Mom, I don't think, James, your brother, needs this. Family helps family. I already told him he could use it." Of course she had. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Fine, 2 weeks. I'll have my assistant send the keys." "Oh, you're such a good brother. Marcus will be so happy." I ended the call and buzzed my assistant. "Anna, please have the security team install additional cameras at the lake house. I have a feeling we'll need them." 2 weeks turned into a month. Then 2 months. My security team's daily reports showed a steady stream of people coming and going. Marcus, his wife Sarah, their 3 kids, and what seemed like half the neighborhood children. They'd moved furniture, rearranged rooms, even painted walls. I kept quiet, focused on finalizing the resort plans. The timing had to be perfect. Then came the Instagram posts. "Welcome to Camp Harrison." Marcus's wife Sarah had created a whole social media presence, advertising their family's summer camp at my lake house. They were charging other families for exclusive lakefront summer experiences. I called my lawyer. "They're running an unauthorized business on your property," Richard confirmed. "We can shut it down immediately." "No," I replied, checking my calendar. "The board meeting is next week. Let's wait." The family dinner was Mom's idea. To celebrate Marcus's new business venture, she'd said. I agreed immediately. Now, sitting at my parents' dining table, I watched Marcus hold court. "The summer camp is just the beginning," he announced. "We're thinking of extending into fall programs, maybe even winter activities. James never uses the place anyway." Mom squeezed his hand. "It's wonderful to see you so passionate about something again, dear." Speaking of passion projects, I interjected smoothly. "I have some news to share." I connected my tablet to the TV, displaying the architectural renderings. "This is the future of Lake Geneva, a $500 million luxury resort development. Exclusive residences, a 5-star hotel, marina, spa." "That's wonderful, honey," Mom exclaimed. "Is this what you've been working on at your company?" "You could say that." I swiped to the next image, an aerial view showing all the properties involved. "See this section here? It's the centerpiece of the whole development." Marcus leaned forward. "Wait, that looks like my lake house." "Yes, well, technically all these properties are mine. Harrison Development owns the entire shoreline." The room went silent. "Harrison Development." Dad's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes, I'm not just a project manager, Dad. I own the company. Have for the past 5 years. Marcus's face had gone pale. "But the summer camp, ah yes, the unauthorized business you've been running on my property." "Don't worry, my lawyers have already drafted an agreement to protect all the families who paid you. They'll be offered exclusive memberships to the new resort club. At my expense, of course." Sarah dropped her fork. "James, we didn't know, clearly. You also didn't know that running an unlicensed children's camp is illegal, or that your remodeling violated multiple building codes. The insurance liability alone." "Now see here," Marcus started, his face reddening. "You can't just actually, I can. But I'm not going to shut you down, Marcus. Instead, I'm offering you a job." That stopped him short. What? The resort will need an activities director, someone good with families experienced in organizing events. The position comes with a company house, full benefits, and stock options. Interested? You want me to work for you? No, I want you to work with me. There's a difference. I pulled out a contract. Starting salary is 3 times what your restaurants were making in their best year. Mom was crying quietly. Dad looked shell-shocked. Marcus just stared at the papers. Why didn't you tell us? Mom finally asked. Would you have believed me? Besides, I needed to prove something. To myself and to Marcus. What's that? Marcus asked. That success doesn't always look the way people expect. While everyone thought I was failing, I was building something bigger than any of us imagined. And now, I want to help you build something too. But, I invaded your property, ran an illegal business, made assumptions. Yes, you did, and now you have a choice. Keep letting pride and resentment drive your decisions, or take this opportunity to start fresh. Your call. Marcus looked at the contract again, then at his wife. Sarah nodded slightly. Where do I sign? 6 hours later, I was back in my office, reviewing the final permits for the resort construction. My phone buzzed. I text from Marcus. Just toured the development office. This is incredible. I'm sorry for everything. Thank you for the second chance. I smiled and texted back. Welcome to the family business. For real this time. Anna appeared in my doorway. Sir, the board members are gathering for the evening meeting. Thank you, Anna. I stood straightening my tie. Time to present the final phase of the Lake Geneva project. This time, with my family fully aware of who was behind it all. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying people. It's about showing them a better way forward. Marcus would learn that lesson now, just as I had years ago. The summer camp fiasco had worked out perfectly in the end. My brother would have a real career. My family would finally understand what I'd built, and the resort would have a ready-made customer base, thanks to Marcus's social media promotion. As I walked into the boardroom, I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the best success stories start with someone underestimating you. They just don't usually end with a $500 million resort. The morning after the family dinner revelation, I arrived at the development office earlier than usual. The sun was just rising over Lake Geneva, casting long shadows across the construction site of what would soon be the resort's main entrance. I found Marcus already there, standing at the window of what would become his office. Couldn't sleep? I asked, joining him. Keep thinking I'll wake up, and this will all be a dream, he admitted, turning to face me. His eyes were red-rimmed. Clearly, he'd been up all night. How did you do it, James? Build all this while we thought you were just struggling. I pulled out 2 chairs. Sit down. It's time you learned the full story. 5 years ago, when I left Dad's company, everyone thought I was having a quarter-life crisis. Remember? Marcus nodded. Dad was furious. Said you were throwing away a perfectly good career in the family accounting firm. What none of you knew was that I'd already spent 2 years studying real estate development at night. I'd identified Lake Geneva as an untapped market for luxury properties. The old families were selling, but nobody had a vision for the area's true potential. I pulled up the original plans on my tablet. See these first 5 properties. I bought them through shell companies, lived in the smallest one, while renovating the others. Every profit went straight back into more acquisitions. But how did you get the initial capital? Remember that worthless as tech stock Dad always complained I wasted my bonus on? Marcus's eyes widened. The startup that went public made my first million there. But I kept living like I was barely getting by. Every family dinner, every holiday, listening to everyone's concerns about my career choices. It was all part of the plan. Why? Why not just tell us? I leaned back, considering my words carefully. You remember how it was growing up. Every success had to be immediate, visible, traditional. Dad's way or no way. Marcus looked down. Yeah, it's why my restaurants failed. I was so focused on making them look successful quickly that I ignored the fundamental problems. Exactly. I needed space to fail, to learn, to build something sustainable without family pressure. The lower everyone's expectations, the more freedom I had to take calculated risks. And now, this resort project. It's massive, James. Aren't you worried? That's actually why I wanted you here early. Come on, I need to show you something. I led Marcus to the secure elevator, using my keycard to access the basement level. The doors opened to reveal a state-of-the-art command center. Dozens of screens displayed real-time data, property values, construction progress, and market analytics. Welcome to the brain of Harrison Development, I said, watching his jaw drop. Every decision, every investment, every phase of construction is monitored and analyzed here. We don't just build properties, Marcus. We build ecosystems. This is incredible. But why show me all this? After what I did with the lake house. Because you're family. And because you have something I need. Me? He laughed bitterly. What could I possibly offer? You understand people, Marcus. You know how to make them feel welcome, special. Your summer camp, despite being completely unauthorized, it was brilliantly executed from a customer experience perspective. I pulled up the camp's social media analytics. Look at these engagement rates. The testimonials from families. You created exactly the kind of community atmosphere we want for the resort. But I failed. Again. No. You succeeded at the wrong level. You were thinking too small, too desperate. Now you get to think bigger, but with a proper foundation and support system. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Mom. Your father hasn't slept, she said without preamble. He wants to meet both of you. I checked my watch. The board presentation is in 3 hours. Please, James. He needs this. I looked at Marcus, who nodded. Tell him to meet us at the lakefront cafe in 30 minutes. We found Dad already waiting, looking older than I'd ever seen him. He stood as we approached, his hands trembling slightly. Son, he started then stopped. For the first time in my life, my father seemed at a loss for words. It's okay, Dad, I said softly. Sit down. The next hour was filled with questions, explanations, and finally understanding. Dad's accounting background actually helped. He grasped the business structure quickly, once I laid it out. All these years, he said finally, I thought you were running from responsibility. But you were running towards something bigger than I could imagine. I learned it from you, Dad. You always said success requires sacrifice and vision. I just applied it differently. And now? He gestured at Marcus. You're bringing the family back together. If you're interested, I replied carefully. The resort could use a strong financial oversight team. Someone with decades of accounting experience. Dad's eyes lit up for the first time since dinner. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you a partnership. Both of you. Harrison Development is growing faster than I can manage alone. I need people I trust. Trust. After how we treated you. Marcus interjected. Family is complicated, I said. But business is simple. You both have skills I need. I have resources you need. Together we could build something extraordinary. Dad reached across the table, gripping my hand. I've never been more proud, he said hoarsely. Or more sorry. Don't be sorry. Be ready. The board meeting is in 2 hours, and you're both attending. The presentation went exactly as planned. The board members were impressed by the community engagement data from Marcus's camp, and Dad's instant grasp of the financial projections added credibility to our expansion plans. As we left the boardroom, Marcus pulled me aside. There's something you should know about the lake house. The unauthorized renovations, already handled. Our contractors start tomorrow. No, it's we found something during the remodeling. Behind one of the walls, old papers, documents about the original Lake Geneva properties. I think they might be important. I felt my pulse quicken. Where are they? Safe. In my car. I was going to use them as leverage if you tried to shut down the camp. But now you're family again. Bring them to my office. If those are what I think they are, this story just got even more interesting. The documents Marcus discovered would change everything about the Lake Geneva development and our understanding of our family's history. As I spread the yellowed papers across my office desk, the setting sun cast long shadows over blueprints, deeds, and letters dating back to 1932. These were behind the wall in the lake house study, I asked, carefully examining a faded map of the original Lake Geneva properties. Marcus nodded, leaning forward. When we were converting the study into a kids' activity room, Tommy kicked a ball and cracked the drywall. That's when we found the hidden compartment. Dad adjusted his reading glasses, picking up one of the letters. His hands trembled slightly as he read. James, he said quietly, this is from your grandfather. Our father. I looked up sharply. Grandfather Harrison had died when I was just 5, leaving behind little more than a small accounting practice and a reputation for failed business ventures. Or so we'd always believed. The letter was dated June 15, 1975. To whoever finds these documents, I've spent 30 years protecting the true history of Lake Geneva's development. The original plans, the secret agreements, the real ownership records, they're all here. I couldn't reveal them during my lifetime, but perhaps they'll prove useful to someone with greater vision than mine. The Harrison legacy is bigger than anyone knows. Edward Harrison. Dad, I said slowly. Did you know about any of this? He shook his head, still reading. I always thought father was just a small-town accountant who dreamed too big. But these documents, he was the silent partner behind the original Lake Geneva Development Corporation. Marcus spread out more papers. Look at these property lines. They match exactly with James's acquisition plan. It's like grandfather mapped it all out decades ago. I finished. But something stopped him from developing it himself. Another letter, this one from 1978, provided answers. The investors are threatening to expose everything. I've hidden the true ownership records to protect the family. Sometimes success must remain silent until the right moment arrives. I hope my children or grandchildren will understand someday. Dad sank into a chair, his face ashen. All those years I criticized him for lacking ambition, for being too cautious. He was protecting us. And now, Marcus added, James has accidentally recreated grandfather's entire vision. Not accidentally, I corrected, studying the original plans. These properties, the development strategy, it's almost exactly what my market research suggested was optimal. Grandfather saw the same potential, just 50 years earlier. But why hide it all? Marcus asked. I was about to respond when Anna knocked on the door. Sir, the environmental survey team is here. They need to discuss something urgent. Perfect timing. Send them in. Dr. Sarah Chen from the Environmental Impact Assessment team entered, carrying a thick folder. She stopped short at seeing my father and brother. Should we do this privately? She asked. They're part of the executive team now, I replied. What did you find? She spread out her own maps next to our grandfather's documents. The geological surveys revealed something unexpected. The entire Lake Geneva basin sits on a unique mineral formation. If these readings are correct, the groundwater has exceptional properties that could be valuable for therapeutic spa treatments. I finished, picking up one of grandfather's letters. Natural mineral springs with healing properties. Dr. Chen blinked in surprise. Yes, exactly. How did you know? I handed her the letter, dated 1976. The mineral analysis confirms it. Lake Geneva's waters could rival the great European spa destinations, but developing it requires resources I no longer have. Perhaps someday. Your grandfather knew, she breathed. But this kind of analysis wasn't even possible in the 1970s. He was ahead of his time. Dad said proudly. Just like James, I was already recalculating development plans in my head. Dr. Chen, how quickly can you prepare a full report on the therapeutic potential of these springs? 2 weeks, maybe less with additional resources. You'll have whatever you need. This changes everything about the resort concept. After she left, Marcus leaned back, whistling softly. A luxury spa resort built around natural healing springs. No wonder grandfather saw such potential here. And now we can fulfill his vision. Dad added. Together, I held up another document. A detailed sketch of a grand lakefront resort complex, dated 1974. Not just fulfill it, we're going to exceed it. The next few hours were a blur of planning and revelation. Each document we examined added new layers to both our family history and the development's potential. Grandfather's careful research, detailed notes, and innovative ideas could have revolutionized Lake Geneva decades ago. We need to go public with this, Marcus suggested. The marketing potential alone. No, Dad interrupted. Surprising us both, Your grandfather kept this secret for a reason. We need to understand why before we reveal anything. I nodded slowly. Agreed. For now, this stays between us. Dr. Chen's report will give us modern scientific validation without revealing the historical connection. Speaking of connections, Marcus said, what about Mom and Sarah? They should know about this. Dinner at my place tomorrow night, I decided. Everything comes out in the open. No more family secrets. Dad gathered the documents carefully. I'll have these professionally preserved and analyzed. There might be more we're missing. Perfect. Marcus, how soon can you adapt your camp program concepts for a luxury spa resort? He grinned. Give me a week to draft proposals. We can incorporate wellness programs, children's nature education, family fitness activities. Good. Work with Dr. Chen once her report is ready. I want every aspect of this development to honor both the natural resources and grandfather's vision. As they left my office, I sat back, processing everything. The lake house renovation that had initially angered me had led to perhaps the most valuable discovery possible. Our grandfather's hidden legacy would now shape the future of Lake Geneva in ways even he might not have imagined. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Grandfather would be proud of you. Thanks for giving me a chance to be part of his dream. I smiled, typing back, our dream now. See you tomorrow. Looking out over the lake, I could almost see it as grandfather had, not just as a beautiful location, but as a place of healing, renewal, and family legacy. We'd build something extraordinary here. Something that would honor both the natural gifts of the land and the quiet vision of a man who'd kept its secrets safe until the right moment. Sometimes the greatest legacies are the ones that wait patiently to be discovered. Tomorrow we'd share everything with the rest of the family. But tonight I had plans to review. A vision to expand, and a grandfather's dream to finally bring to life. The sun had set completely now, but lights were coming on along the shoreline. Houses and businesses that would soon be part of something much bigger. In my mind, I could already see the resort rising from the landscape, natural springs flowing, families healing and connecting. Just as grandfather had imagined, it would be more than just a luxury destination. It would be the fulfillment of a legacy. 50 years in the making, preserved behind a wall, waiting for the right moment and the right person to bring it to life. And thanks to Marcus's unauthorized renovation, that moment had finally arrived. The evening of the family dinner arrived with a sense of momentous occasion. I'd arranged for the gathering to be held in the lake house, now restored to its original grandeur, but with subtle updates that honored both past and future. Mom, Sarah, and the kids arrived first, their eyes wide as they took in the transformation. The summer camp decorations were gone, replaced by elegant furnishings that complemented the house's historic character. But in the children's wing, we'd maintain some of Marcus's better ideas, creating a space that balanced luxury with family-friendly comfort. James, it's beautiful, Sarah breathed, touching the restored wooden paneling in the great room. I'm so sorry we don't, I interrupted gently. Without your renovations, we might never have found what was hidden in these walls. Right on cue, Dad and Marcus arrived, carrying the carefully preserved documents in a custom archival case. I'd arranged the dining room with display easels, ready to present our grandfather's vision alongside our modern plans. Before we eat, I announced, there's something you all need to see. For the next hour, we shared the discovery with Mom, Sarah, and the children. Mom's hands shook as she read her father-in-law's letters. Tears rolled down her cheeks when she realized how wrong we'd all been about his supposed failures. He carried this secret his whole life, she whispered, protecting the family instead of defending his reputation. And now Marcus added, we're going to complete his work, but bigger, better, and as a family. I unveiled the new resort plans, updated to incorporate the natural springs. The children, surprisingly, were the most enthusiastic audience. So great-grandpa discovered magic water. Tommy, Marcus's oldest, asked excitedly. Not magic, I explained, but special. Water that helps people heal and feel better. And you kids helped us find it. Because we broke the wall. Jenny, his sister, looked worried. Sometimes, Sarah told her, breaking things leads to fixing something bigger. Over dinner we discussed the future. The resort would now include a world-class wellness center, leveraging the spring's therapeutic properties. Marcus's summer camp concept would evolve into an exclusive family wellness program. Dad would oversee the financial structure, while Mom's social connections would prove invaluable for marketing. But what about the families from the summer camp? Sarah asked. We promised them. They'll be our founding members, I announced. Their faith in Marcus's vision, even when it wasn't properly authorized, proved there's a market for what we're building. They get lifetime premium memberships at founding rates. Marcus stared at me. You're not just being generous. You're turning our mistake into a marketing advantage. That's what good business is about, Dad said proudly, finding opportunity in every situation. Speaking of opportunity, I added, there's one more surprise. I handed Mom an envelope. Inside was a deed and business license. The resort would include a boutique real estate agency specializing in luxury lakefront properties, with her name as the principal broker. But I haven't practiced real estate in years, she protested. You know every family in the region, understand luxury properties, and have impeccable taste. Plus you'll have the full support of Harrison Development's resources, a true family business. Dad mused. Just like your grandfather wanted. After dessert, we gathered on the terrace, overlooking the lake. Construction lights twinkled along the shore where the resort's main buildings were taking shape. The children played on the lawn, while we adults sipped coffee and talked about the future. I've been thinking, Marcus said suddenly, we should name it after grandfather. The Harrison Grand Resort and Spa, Sarah suggested. No, I replied. He wouldn't want that. He believed in letting the work speak for itself. I pointed to the lake. We'll call it the Waters at Geneva. Simple, elegant, focused on what makes it special. Perfect. Mom smiled. But we'll know the true story. And someday, Dad added. When the time is right, we'll share it. His grandchildren completed what he started. There's poetry in that. As the evening wound down, I found myself alone on the terrace with Marcus. Thank you, he said quietly. Not just for the job or for giving the summer camp fiasco, but for showing me a better way to succeed. You taught me something too, I admitted. All these years, I thought keeping secrets was the key to building something great. But sharing them with the right people at the right time, that's even more powerful. So what's next for Harrison Development? I smiled, pulling out my tablet. Funny you should ask. Remember those other documents we found? There were surveys of properties around 3 other lakes. Marcus laughed. Always thinking ahead, aren't you? Like grandfather taught us, success isn't just about what you build. It's about building it the right way, with the right people at the right time. The next morning, standing in my office overlooking the lake, I read grandfather's letters one more time. His final words seemed particularly poignant now. To whoever finds this, remember that true success isn't measured in buildings or bank accounts, but in the legacy you leave for others to build upon. I couldn't complete this dream, but I protected it for those who could. May you build something worthy of the wait. Looking out at the construction sites, where our family's past and future were merging into something greater than any of us had imagined, I knew we would. The lake house that had caused so much conflict had become the key to our family's reunion and renewal. Sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't found in business plans or bank vaults, but behind broken walls, and in the hearts of family members who learn to see each other in a new light. As construction crews began their day's work below, I sent a group text to the family. Grandfather's dream starts today. Thank you all for being part of it. The responses flooded in immediately. Enthusiasm, love, and commitment from every member of our once fractured family, now united in a vision that spanned generations. The Waters at Geneva would be more than just another luxury resort. It would be a testament to the power of family legacy, the importance of timing, and the truth that sometimes, the most meaningful success stories are the ones that take 3 generations to complete. The end.